Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes.
Utkarsh, whenever you say, we can start the session.
We can start, sir.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome to GST Zen webinar on e-invoice. Let me share the screen. All right. Utkarsh, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So, firstly, very happy for people joining the webinar and attending. And thanks to GST Zen team, Utkarsh, Manisha, Akhila for continuously putting up the sessions. And welcome you all for the webinar on invoice management system. So, in today's webinar, we will understand what is this new IMS, how it is going to impact us, and what are the key things as a taxpayer that they should be aware about IMS. We will be covering two parts. One, the theory aspects of it. Second, my colleague Manisha would be walking us through as to how GST Zen can help in the IMS compliance. Before I start, let me a little bit brief you about GST Zen. GST Zen is a GST Suvidha provider and an ASP application service provider. It's been into providing GST solutions since 2016, just before the beginning of GST, assisting clients in migrating to GST compliance. And the best part of the GSTZen software is all these reports are downloaded into Excel, most of them on click of a button, including reconciliations, raw data, the reports, everything. And the data also can be synchronized from the ERPs, popular ERPs in one click, and there is an automated upload. Now, what is this upload and download for? Upload for reconciling your records, which is purchase or sales register, and file your GSTR 1 and 3B. Download the reconciliation report and automatically communicate to vendor wherever there is a mismatch. Also, e-invoice, e-waybill, everything through API integrations possible. There are 18,000 plus customers and who have been using the application with very satisfaction and happy customers. You'll find customers ranging from mom and pop stores, brick and mortar, to a listed entity. And our support system is well and equipped to handle the queries. Most of them is self-driven. Apart from this, there is a notice management which has been recently launched. I'm sure some of you would have watched the video of it, where you can track your notices. You can be on top of your notices, how to reply, what is the cost if you don't reply. All those things are automated. We also have our learning management system where people can put queries and you will get an answers from the experts. That is a little bit brief about GST Zen. Let's quickly get into today's session on IMS. I would be covering 45 minutes on the theory part of it, knowing what is IMS, what's the workflow of IMS, how does this interface work, key FAQs that everyone should be knowing, and the last 15 minutes, we will look at how the GST Zen can ease your IMS compliance. Firstly, when we say IMS, Invoice Management System, this is a flavor of the original intention of the GSTN on invoice matching. This tool has been introduced to help the taxpayers on the invoices on the GSTN portal. Let me repeat this statement again: to help the taxpayers on the invoices on the GSTN portal. People were thinking IMS is more for replacing a GST 2B or input tax credit. Answer is no. IMS is managing the invoices. So it is managing of outward invoices, managing of inward invoices. So the IMS is for both outward and inward. It is an invoice management software, a system that has been set up, which allows you to check and manage the invoices uploaded by your suppliers also. Basically, it is now going to increase the transparency between suppliers and recipient, and also avoid mistakes in claiming the input tax credit erroneously. Let's look into detail how this works. Currently, the system which has been there, pretty simple, settled system where supplier files the GSTR1, which is visible to GS in the recipient GSTR 2B. All those returns that have been filed on or before 11th in the current month 2B, those which have been filed after 11th in the subsequent month 2B. So these are visible into the GSTR 2B. The data from GSTR1 as outward liability travel to GSTR3B as a liability to be paid, while the data from GSTR2B travels to GSTR3B as ITC available to offset. Very important point to note, in both the scenarios, your GSTR3B can be corrected. Let's say someone has erroneously filed 1 as nil. The 3B could have been corrected and I change the liability. Let's say in 2B, some records have come or have not come or come erroneously extra credit. The auto-populated credit of 3B can also be changed. So my liability in 3B can be changed. My ITC in 3B can be changed. Government has moved towards an intent of locking 3B. That means whatever you are seeing in 3B, you pay the taxes and go. However, there's been a historical issue which has been going on where a recipient who do not have sufficient cash with him, he can not file the 3B, or 3B do not have an option to pay part payments. Now, to address all these challenges, government has now with the GSTN come up with the solutions. Firstly, the laws had got amended where interest would be paid only on the cash and not on the ITC, even if 3B is paid late. Again, to address those who wants to pay it in installment, interest would be paid if 3B has liability of 100, but the cash payment is short by, let's say, 20. 80 has already been paid. So whatever the cash that have been paid on or before the due date of filing of the 3B, interest will not be again applicable. So the rules have been made to it, which is on the law side of it. What about the liability that is coming in 3B? Let's say I have filed my R1 as nil. So they said we will introduce 1A, and 1A has been introduced. A month back, we have done a session of how to use 1A, what entries goes into 1A. So your liability which is moving to 3B from 1 can be corrected through 1A so that liability in 3B can be frozen. Now the ITC that is coming into 3B, which was flowing from 2B, so I don't have a mechanism to stop the credit which is erroneous. So owing to 16 subsection 2, some conditions are not fulfilled, I could not take the credit, or I want to defer the credit. Those can also be taken through 2B and now the 3B is moving to a journey of locking. Recently, GSTN made an announcement saying that the 3B would be locked, but temporarily again they are suspended. But eventually, you should know if something has been introduced, then it would get settled. Once it is settled, it would also come into the law book. Some of you may ask me a question that where is the legal provision for IMS? That is why now the IMS is optional. Very soon we are heading towards the next finance bill coming in Feb, and act and rules can also change wherever required. Till that point, everything is optional. Your 1A is optional, your IMS is optional, everything is optional. So today's session, we would be looking at how the IMS would work. As I said in the beginning, IMS is invoice management system, and it has not to do only with the ITC. Now, IMS will have outward supply related documents, especially documents rejected by the recipients are for viewing. So there is a status, I will view it. I have highlighted only that point. Inward supplies related, the documents available for availing ITC is available. So IMS is on invoice management system. It will have all outward supplies. It will have inward supplies eligible for ITC would be there. Let's look at the journey of the IMS. Now, this supplier is going to do an e-invoice where the data moves from NIC or any other IRPs out of 6 IRPs. In T plus 2 days, the data travels to GSTR1. Now, to the IMS, the data of GSTR1, all the records of GSTR1 would travel. However, you can see a red line going down, which will not go to IMS. We will look at all. Now, the records that are moving from GSTR1 to IMS, I as a recipient, I have multiple actions to take. Please note, I have a responsibility to take some action. What is the action? I can say that this record doesn't pertain to me, reject it. Or I can say, okay, what happens when I reject it? It moves to your GSTR2B and the rejected section. And it would also go to 3B of the recipient in case if it is of credit note. Like when if I'm a supplier, I am raising a credit note, my liability goes down. But if recipient has rejected that credit note, again my liability will go up. However, it will get added to the 3B of the next tax period. And in my outward IMS, it would be shown as rejected document. The next action available to the recipient is either to accept a record or keep the record nothing, do nothing, no action. So if you have accepted or no action, if it is no action, it is deemed accepted, that would move to your GSTR2B. Or you can also have an action called keep it pending. I will not do anything. The moment you keep it pending, it doesn't flow to the GSTR2B. It gets carried forward to the IMS of the next month. So IMS has an opening inventory, new records got added, you have taken some action, you have not taken some action, so you purposely kept it pending. So you can do all these actions. So only when you have the action called accept or no action. So the records that move to GSTR2B, which is draft GSTR2B, is accepted records or something where no action has been taken, which is marked as deemed accepted, will go to GSTR2B. However, when do I take an action of acceptance? I can take any time till filing of my 3B. So the values in GSTR2B has to be refreshed. Right now, the computed value has to be refreshed. So the GSTN has said you have to recompute. There is a button in GSTR2B to recompute so that this action that you have taken is updated. This updated value goes to GST or 3B. So the input tax credit that is going into GST or 3B is from actions that is taken, accept, and no action which is deemed accepted going to GST or 3B. If you look at it, if you look at this carefully, RCM and ineligible documents do not participate in input tax credit. Hence, you don't need any action on them. Next, the records that you are kept pending, they are moved to the IMS of the next month. The records that you rejected that are intimated back to the supplier saying that someone has rejected, and if it is a credit note, please note, if it is a credit note only, liability in the 3B of the next month will get increased. But if the rejection is of an invoice, there is no change in the liability because the supplier has already declared. Now you may ask that why only credit note? Because with the credit note, the supplier has reduced his liability. So far, is this clear? Any questions to anyone? If you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. You are here to understand, learn about IMS. Request you to ask however simple the question it is. Absolutely don't worry. Put your questions. I'm here to answer all your questions. Okay. Now, I will actually take step by step and I'll give you all the FAQs, what happens. Now let's look at further. In terms of, think this as your, from the accounting perspective, think this as your an inventory register. So what will IMS register will have? There are opening records which were carried forward from the previous month. I'm talking from the ITC perspective. To this opening records, which is already there, I am going to add new records that have been uploaded to GSTR 1 and 1A. If I have clicked something called accepted or do nothing, which is deemed accepted, I will be moving out from my IMS register. If I have rejected, I am again moving out from my IMS register and I will be sending it to the recipient. So what is carried forward to the next month is all the records that I have kept pending. That means my opening records, which was kept pending, has also an action called accept or do nothing in the current month. If I do nothing in the current month to the opening records, they will get moved to my 2B. But if I want to keep it pending, again, I have to keep the action called keep it pending. Only then it moves to the next month. All right. So if you look at my record count or summary, this is the journey of the IMS. This is the journey of the IMS. Hope this is clear to all. So let me see at this point, if you have any questions, let me take these questions, then I will move further. Utkarsh, hope the session is recorded. So if someone is joining late or for the future, they'll be able to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is.
Okay, Rohit is asking a question. I have 5 invoices that are shown in 2A and were filed before the deadline of 11 November. However, it is not showing in 2B and not showing in IMS. This has never happened before. What was always in 2A filed before deadline is always in 2B. Is there any error in implementation of IMS? What can be done to claim these 5 invoices? Rohit ji, this is now a technical question. Of course, when the IMS got implemented in the last month, on 14th of October previous month, when IMS was implemented, not all records have moved to IMS. So GSTN said that yes, there is a glitch, it is being fixed and is taken care. Could have happened. Sure, this month I'm sure you wouldn't have faced this. September invoice reflect in IMS, but not reflecting in ITC of October. Mohammed Hussain ji, I would request you to bring the question more clear. because September invoice, if it is reflecting in IMS, if you have not taken any action, then it would have automatically traveled to 2B. Let's look at it more specifically. Anthony Gonzalez, what if the supplier uploaded wrong amount, that is invoice is 10 lakhs, but in portal 8 lakhs or vice versa? Again, maybe I'll put it this way, physical invoice is issued for 8 lakhs, could be 10 lakhs, it was uploaded in R1. You reject it. What happens when you reject it? I'll tell you the journey. It is now going back to the supplier. Supplier has already filed his one. He can correct back, amend his this error through 1A. Any corrections that have been done, again, it will travel back to the IMS of the recipient. So there is a journey. All right. So Chetan is asking, is IMS mandatory? Theoretically, yes. But if you don't do anything, it will be deemed as if you have accepted and it would be moving it. Okay. All right. So let's move further now. However, this transaction will not be forming part of IMS. So you will not take any action on ISD while you are filing the GSTR 6 filings. In table 4B of GSTR1, where you will report your outward RCM records. Let's say I am an advocate and I am providing legal services. So in my GSTR1, I will be reporting this as RCM where the recipient has to pay the credit. These doesn't travel to IMS for asking you whether you have to accept or reject. Next, if there are ineligible to place of supply, where in GSTR 2B this gets marked as ineligible. Let's say I am here in Karnataka, Bangalore, traveling to Delhi for a meeting with GSTN and staying in a hotel in Delhi. So the place of supply for the hotel as per section 12 of IGST moves as Delhi. These records, when the Delhi hotelier uploads in his GSTR1, though visible in my 2B, the credit is not eligible for me. The moment it is not eligible, it doesn't require any action for me, hence it will not be there in IMS. Likewise, anything that has traveled the 30th November due date. We know after the amendment, the last date to take the ITC is 30th November. But let's say someone is now filing 22-23 record and they are filing GSTR1 now after the 11th. So that means it's traveling to 2B in the next month after 30th November. Accordingly, it doesn't require any action of mine to accept it as credit. Hence, it will not be forming part of the IMS. So by now you understood what will be in IMS, what will not be in IMS, both from supplier side and from the recipient side. And also what records will stay in IMS, what records will move out of IMS. So just a summary, accepted will be part of 2B as ITC available. Rejected will be part of 2B as ITC rejected. Only ITC available section is a green color will move to 3B as eligible. Something which is pending will not be forming part of 2B. It will remain in IMS dashboard. It will not also be part of 3B since it is not there in 2B. If you haven't taken any action, they would all be deemed as accepted and everything will be populated in 3B as eligible ITC. So you are any of these four status. So majority of the people have not taken any action in the previous month. I'll also show you a live scenario where you will see most of the status as no action. So where will I find the IMS? Log into the government portal, go to the services, returns section, you have IMS dashboard. IMS dashboard is there both for inward supplies and outward supplies. Let's look at one by one. When it comes to the inward supplies, you click on the inward supplies, you have this all other ITC. On the top, you can see the IMS where you have taken action. You can see that the number of records that are available out of so many records. If you have not taken any action, they are parked in the no action section. If you have specifically clicked the record and accepted, they are accepted. If you have rejected something, it goes to rejected section. If you have kept pending in for want of doubt, it is moving to the next month. So you are always, any given point of time, your inward records are categorized into these 4 sections. Your inward records are categorized into these 4 sections. You can see these one by one. You can, if I click on B2B invoices, it will drill down and it will be showing all the things. What is my current status? Did I take any action? Did I kept it accept, reject, pending? Or where is it? What is the current status? Current status is no action taken. It is going to show. So if you have accepted or if you have rejected, if you have taken some action, so on the right side, you can see the status. The status is now changed to either accepted, rejected, pending. So if you take an action, then the action taken would be visible in the status. If you have not taken any action, then it would be shown as, sorry, if you have not taken any action, it would be visible as no action. It would be visible as no action. But if you have taken an action, it would show as accepted, rejected, pending in this status. You can download this as an Excel also. All right. This is on the records that have been saved. Let's say I am not saving anything. On the last day of filing your GSTR 3B, this will automatically be deemed accepted. So someone who is not venturing into the journey of IMS, right now it is all optional, but eventually they might make it mandatory. But the journey now is going to be GSTR 1, then IMS, then it will go to your 3B. So you are taking record by record action. You may ask the question, can I do this in bulk? Saying that I don't want to, let's say out of 1,000, I specifically know 3 invoices to be kept pending, 5 invoices to be rejected. You can do that. You can select all, accept. On the left corner, just before the serial number, you can see that select all button. You can select all and make it accept. Then on the right side top, you have search option and filter option. You can search, bring those records and make it reject pending and save it. Let's say by mistake I have saved erroneously as accept or reject. You can log in back and change. Whatever the action that you have taken, you can keep changing it till you file your 3B. So this is a facility that is available. Now, however, you can also use third-party tools, the APIs provided like from GST Zen, integrate into with your ERP, match it at the ERP and take an action. Manisha is going to talk more about it. Right? So what are the filters that are available? So these filters are available at every level. So that is what which we have shown. The filters are available. You can see by invoice type, status, source, everything. You can see filter by supplier, by invoice type, by date. You can do the filter and get filtered records. Okay. These records will be flowing through your GSTR 3B basis the action that you are taking. Your action will determine the credit that you will be eligible in the current month. But basis your reconciliation, you may keep some invoices pending if the ITC is not eligible currently or you are not sure. The only thing is the pending records, you should take an action by 30th November of the next year. Otherwise, you have not taken any action, the credit would also get lapsed. The draft GSTR 2B. We all know 2B gets generated every month 14th. Again, a change that has happened in GSTR 2B from this month. till last month we were getting a rate-wise record data. Now the rate-wise record data is not coming in 2B. There is a change in GSTR 2B. Okay. So the draft 2B would include all accepted records and no action taken records. Recipient can take action, or as I said, by mistake, if I've taken any action, the wrong action, change the action that has already been taken on the accepted invoice till filing of 3B. The draft 2B can be treated as final GSTR 2B if you're not taking any action. If you're taking an action, you have to press that recompute. So as per section 38, read with section 16.2, now the credits that can be availed is only those which are moving from GSTR 2B. Hence, you have to reset. So the 2B that you are seeing on 14 is not your final 2B. So the actions that you are taking will determine and give you a revised 2B. That revised 2B is the credit that you will be taking in GSTR 3B. As I said in the beginning, eventually GSTN is moving towards a journey of locking of GSTR 3B. So the 3B gets locked and you'll only be paying the taxes and filing your 3B. Now you may ask the question about the RCM liability and others. Don't worry, some are the other mechanisms that would come up, or a portion, the fields of 3B gets locked, right? But this is evolving. And what is more important for every tax practitioner, every chartered accountant who is involved in filing of returns, every consultant who is advising the clients, and corporates who are actually filing the returns by themselves and not through consultants, very mandatory that you regularly attend sessions, because if you are not aware of these changes, we may end up doing some erroneous mistake in the filing. And when this notice is going to come, say 3 years, 4 years later, the officer may look up to us that it's a very basic thing. I don't know how you made a mistake. I don't know anything. I want you to pay the taxes. Yesterday I was attending to one notice where the liability was fully discharged. It's just that the RCM liability was also shown under forward charge. So the officer is of the view, since you have not paid the RCM, specifically as RCM, I want you to pay the RCM. Now, the client may get the refund because he has paid extra. It's just that the time limit to claim refund is only 2 years. But the notices, we are still dealing with 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 cases. We are in the financial year 24-25. So the 2 years window got over long back. Now, these kind may appear to be like, okay, is it very important? Isn't it pretty silly someone asking me this liability? Or someone may say, yeah, that is the right. So someone has not paid taxes. The views could be anything. But my only humble submission is you have to keep learning yourself, knowing the latest updates. As a consultant, even I have to do this because I cannot make an error in advising what is to be done. And today, cost of non-compliance is very high, right? Moving further, the compute GSTR2B is a button which will be enabled after 14th. So basis the actions that you have taken, you have to again click on compute 2B to recompute the credit value. Only after the recompute, the latest ITC details would be coming. This updated ITC details will auto-populate into GSTR 3B. You don't need to take any action after filing of 3B. Your IMS, like you may say that I forgot to take action of IMS. Now I filed 3B. Can I do anything? Nothing. If you have not taken action, everything is deemed as accepted. So since it's accepted, 3B is filed, done and dusted. So from your IMS register, all these records would move off. So remember the IMS workflow that I have explained, the records will flush out of your IMS for not taking any action after you file your 3B. Only those you have kept pending, they are still available for taking action. So this is another important step you should be aware of. Where will I find my compute GSTR2B button? So you can see on the down after your IMS inverse applies the compute GSTR2B. You press that button, the records gets recomputed, the values gets recomputed basis the action that you are seeing on the screen. Rejected records, credit not available, will go back to the supplier for informing him. Pending records, can credit not available, travel to IMS of next month. Only those where you clicked on no action or accepted, only those would be updated back in GSTR2B. So that means your GSTR2B credit available for the month will get recomputed. Let's now move to IMS outward supply side. So when I say outward supply, again, as I said, this is an invoice management system. See, I know my invoice. I am the one who has issued the invoice. But what is the supplier saying, sorry, recipient saying about it? Has recipient accepted my invoice? Has he rejected? What is he doing with my invoice? I also need to know. So in my outward dashboard, it will show the records of both 1 and 1A. It will be showing the records of 1 and 1A. Very important thing, which I have explained it in the workflow. It will be showing the rejected records where the liability is added back in GSTR3 with the credit notes. So you have a separate view for it. It's just that it needs an additional attention. So they have given an additional view. Otherwise, by section, you have the records. Now, when I click on my, let's say 4A, 4B, I will be seeing all my invoices in detail. All my invoices in detail. Now, what will this is my, by invoice wise, I have the record. So if you see the scroll bar below the down, after 1 and down, when I scroll it to the right, I will be seeing status 1 by 1. You can see for some invoices, it has been accepted. For some, there was no action taken. So you will be able to see each invoice wise what the recipient has done. I will be able to see. Where am I? I am in my dashboard of outward supplies. In my outward supplies of the dashboard. So this is a live screenshot which I've taken, where you will be able to see what is the action that the recipient has taken, right? Now there are a lot of FAQs which I have compiled. Before I go over the FAQs, let me look at some questions live which is there. Question from Mittalji. Supplier invoice dated preceding month, but goods received in the current month. Should it be kept accepted or kept pending? Mittalji, again, this is a disputed position. Generally, 16 subsection 2, one of the condition is receipt of goods. Now, the receipt of the goods should be as on 30th of the previous month or as on the date on which you are taking the credit. Now you want to take the credit in the current month. If you are confident the goods have received before filing 3B, you can keep it as accept. You want to take the credit in the next month since the goods received after 30th, you can click it as keep it pending. It will travel to IMS of the next month. In the next month, you don't take any action. Even if you don't take any action, it would be deemed accepted. Anthony is asking, what if we are yet to take the credit for invoice from April 24 to September 24 for an October return? Are they available in IMS? The answer is no. These have been traveling through the 2B. So ideally, advisory has been issued by GSTN saying that if you have a credit and you have not taken or you want to take it later, you were supposed to report in 4B2. The values that are reported into 4B2 will be moving to electronic credit reclaim register. And whenever you want to claim, the month in which you want to make a claim, you have to report it into 4D1. So it would be reduced from the electronic credit register and you will have to add it into 4A5. So this is the action that you need to take. Right now, all other ITC field can be edited. Any idea when it gone closed? Sandeep, I have no clue on it. But the intention is to lock 3B. Can we undo rejected line item if it's rejected by mistake? Jobin John, this is the workflow which the GSTN is working to give. Of course, as of now, even if it is rejected, goes back to the supplier, you can intimate back to the supplier to restate, and yes, you can accept it. Vinay is asking, after taking any action, can we do undo action? Yes, if you have parked something in accepted status, you can change it. If it is in rejected status, you go back to the supplier and get it back. If it is in pending status, you can click on accept. So you can have the facility to change the action, but the procedure is a little different. Sarvesh is asking, accepted bill can be eligible and ineligible declared in 3B. Accepted means we are only moving records to 2B. From 2B to 3B, whether it is a credit T1, T2, T3, D1, D2, those computations are left to you. Rule 42, they specifically ineligible moved for purchased for an exempted goods, or 17 subsection 5 a blocked credit. These decisions you will be taking and you will be reporting it in 4B1. You will not reject a record just because it is an ineligible credit. You will accept that credit and mark it as ineligible. You will reject a record if the credit doesn't pertains to you. If our customer rejects by mistake, can we undo their action? Yes, Vinay, that can be done. Suppliers issue credit note against invoice. Do recipient need to take action? Yes, this is one important question Mohammed Hussain has raised. You cannot keep pending for a credit note. Credit note cannot be kept pending. Either you have to accept or reject. If you don't do anything, it is deemed accepted. Because credit note has reduced the liability of the supplier. Government is not getting the tax, and you are also not reversing your input tax credit. It cannot be a situation where there is a jeopardy. So you are making the advantage. You cannot also say, I will reduce my credit note next month. It has to be taken now. Action has to be taken now. Rajiv is asking, if we take action only pending and rejection, the rest will automatically be accepted. Yes, that is going to happen. So no action taken cases will deemed accepted. Kumarvel is asking, with the adoption of IMS, is it mandatory to report ITC in 3B under 4B2 for temporary reversal and 4D1 reclaim statement? A very valid question, but right now there is no legal answer to it. You can still put a credit pending in 4B2 and reclaim under 4D1. Now, what is the importance of the pending in IMS is a question that you may ask. Right now, it is no. But look at the situation where the 30th November, you have to take action by 30th November, but you are still in doubt. You can accept it, park it into your electronic credit reclaim statement. See, all the credits of 37A, you will have to reverse it and you have to reclaim. So it is not that the electronic credit reclaim will not be there. It will still be there. You haven't paid vendor within 180 days. You still want to, so rule 37, 37A, other reversals will continue to be there. So this option of reclaim will continue to be there. It's just that the temporary first month, second month, can I do it through pending or should I route it to this? There is no straight answer to it. The right way, I would say, is market pending and avail it later. You use the reclaim statement where you have availed and you are reversing and to reclaim it later. That is what my answer would be. So Savesh is asking, accepted bill, can I declare in GST 3B ineligible and eligible? Yes, you can do it. Kumarvel, how should we treat pending ITC? Yes, we have discussed this. Is IMS applicable for RCM also? Answer is no. Vinay, if you have seen the workflow in the beginning, the RCM records do not enter your IMS. It directly travels to your 2B as RCM because input tax credit is not in your hands for that. What to be done for ineligible? We have discussed. You accept it and park it into 4B1. Rohit is asking, IMS is showing invoices of November 24 now itself. E-invoices, should we keep this pending or ignore? Now IMS is real time. Only in the month when it was given, it is it was launched on 14th October. Otherwise, if you see again my workflow, from your GSTR1 and e-invoice register, your IMS will be coming automatically. But GSTR1 is not filed. So the supplier may change anything in the GSTR1. So if supplier has changed the invoice, after you take an action, the status would go back. Because supplier has changed it, it is replaced with a new thing. So again, you have to take a new action. Sudhindra Rao ji is asking, out of total invoices, can we take actions? Keep pending where goods not received, reject maybe due to any reason. Correct invoice, I will not take any action. Deemed accepted. Perfect, no issue, can be done. Diksha is asking, is there an option to bulk select accept more than 500 records? Diksha, if the records are more than 500, you are aware, GSTN requests you to handle it offline. So you have to take a JSON file. The best I would suggest, you subscribe to any GSP and ASP services through an API. They will give you a mechanism to handle it. That would be the best for you. PNA charge accountants, the recipient mistakenly rejected the credit note. So goes back to the suppliers. You should tell them to restate it back and you accept it again. Janak ji is asking, in the IMS system, GST credit for all invoices is shown. To be only GST credit for returns filed between 12th and 11th of the month will be received. Now when we open IMS, details shown. Perfect. Yeah, someone was asking the live thing. Yeah, this is what I have said. So all the records will be coming IMS live. That is why you will have to recompute the GSTR 2B, because on 14th a 2B has come up already. A 14th 2B has come up already. Let's say someone has filed e-invoice on time, but his GSTR1 moved to 12th instead of 11th. What will happen? The credits will flow to 2B of the next month. So there is a change that is going to happen. So that is why this recompute system has been put in. When I avail ITC basis R1 filed by my supplier, but my supplier has not filed 3B, what will be the repercussions on IMS? Again, that is what I said, Bhaskarji, is this is not, the records will not travel to 2B if the supplier has not filed the R1. Okay, so we have answered most questions. Let me move to FAQs which I have listed. If something is still not answered, we will again take up the question. Sequential filing is now has come in. So unless you file 3B of the previous month, 2B of the current month will not get generated. All this while 1 was not there, now 2B will also not get generated if 3B of the previous month is not done. So that only the spending records and the AMS, all those movement has to happen. So this is new thing that has come. Can I edit a record? As a recipient, I cannot. But can a supplier can edit record? Yes, he can. If he edits, the action by the recipient will be reset. Deleting a record. As a supplier, can I delete a record? Yes, you can delete a record. If before filing your R1, you can delete a record. The moment it is deleted in R1, it will be removed from IMS also. So it is kind of mirror. What documents will not be available? Outward RCM, time barred ITC, ineligible due to POS. What is not required mandatory for the section 38(16)(2) credits is IceGate and documents flowing from R5 and reversal for 37A. These at this point you will not take any action in IMS. Are there any invoice records which are pending action is not allowed in IMS? Yes. Credit note, you cannot keep it pending. Relating the credit note, upward or downward movement in the credit note, you cannot do it. If the original invoice is accepted a downward movement of that invoice or debit note, again it cannot be kept pending. Credit notes cannot be set as pending, so you can see in the screenshot the pending action is removed. You either accept or reject it. Now, if there are original and amended records in the same period, like imagine I have filed my R1 belatedly. It is sitting in my IMS of the next month. And in the next month, the record is also amended. So what happens? Then the action taken on amended record will prevail, right, over the original record. So in IMS, you can imagine there are two records can come, the original record and the amended record. So whatever the action I am taking on the amended record, only that would prevail. And before acting on the amended invoice, ensure the original invoice is moved out from the pending to accepted or rejected states. Okay, otherwise system will not allow you to take the action on the amended document. This is also the same. What happens if the recipient rejects a record? If the recipient is rejecting a record, the record can be edited by the supplier if it is corrected, or the rejected record can be accepted by the supplier to move it flow back to the recipient as is again. So either corrections with corrections or without corrections, again from the suppliers accepting, it will move back to your recipient IMS. So if I accidentally reject, again contact the supplier, ask it to reissue the invoice and correct it. The new invoice will appear in the IMS again. Quarterly payers, will the 2B and IMS will be there? Yes, even for the quarterly payers, the IMS would be there. However, you know, the 2B is generated in the end of the month. Month 1, month 2, 2B is not generated. So from the IFF, the data moves. The quarterly persons basis the IMS action, the 2B is generated finally at the end of the month, because for the first 2 months, you are paying the taxes on an approximation basis. How many times can I regenerate my 2B? Any number of times you can click on that compute buttons. What happens will 2A, will 2A gets discontinued? No, 2A is kind of a purchase register. So it will continue to be there as such. Is it mandatory to recompute? Yes, if you are making changes, otherwise you cannot file a 3B. Can supplier amend FCM invoice to RCM or vice versa? Yes. The moment if this change happens, accordingly the IMS, the record will upload show up in the IMS register. Imagine my original was RCM, it was not there in IMS register. Later I amended it to forward, it comes to IMS. Imagine my original was forward charge, but later I changed it to reverse charge. In my IMS register, it will, I have to, a credit will have to come down. Last, before I hand it over to Manisha, is tentatively Jan 25 is what it has been said to be locked. But again, I have the portal said that this is locking is withdrawn. We never know when it is going to come. So for you to have a smooth flow of the journey, use 1A. If you have to correct anything in 3B for liability, start implementing IMS. Understand, right now it is optional, but start implementing IMS for you to understand. So I'll pause at this point, and I will request Manisha to share how GST Zen can help in automating the IMS process. Again, I'll come back for taking the FAQs and other aspects. Manisha, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I'll just quickly share my screen. Sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Okay. So, firstly, very good evening, very good afternoon to everybody. So, the screen in front of you is the dashboard of GST Zen. So, when you log in or create a new account to GST Zen, this will be the first screen which you will get, and you can do all your working with in GST Zen. So here I have added few of the GST number. You can add more GST number using this tab. So I'll be just quickly move to one of the GST number which I have already added. And so once I choose the GST number, it will take me to the next screen where I will get all the major options of the GST Zen features like download a report, reconciliation, and file return. And download a report, you will get all the reports like consolidated, a comparison report, a GSTR1, GSTR1 e-invoices, 2A, 2B, 3B. All these reports are available monthly as well as yearly report. When I talk about the reconciliation, so we have 2A, 2B, GSTR1 versus sales register versus GSTR1 e-invoices. All these four reconciliations are available. Going forward, we are also launching IMS versus purchase register RECO. We'll add that option under that option itself. Moving to further returns, we are providing GSTR1, GSTR1, 1A, 3B, 9, and 9C. Now, as I'm here to demonstrate that how our GST Zen can help you with the IMS thing. So that option is available on the right-hand side with the name IMS dashboard. Once I click, it will ask me to log in to the government portal with OTP. And let me just request for the OTP. I will receive the OTP on the registered phone number or the email ID. So here I'll log in. Once I log in, I have to click on this refresh invoice tab, which will fetch all the latest information from the portal, and it will take a minute or so. Meanwhile, we have two tabs here, summary and update action. In the summary tab, you will find all the different type of invoices under this head within action, like with the status, or the invoices fall under the no action, accepted, rejected, and pending. Under this update action, you can do your working. Here, I can see that few of the invoices are under the status of pending. If I want to change the action of the same, I'll be clicking on these check boxes which are available before this GSTN or before this invoice number. And I'll click on this. Let's suppose I want to accept this invoices. So I'll click on accept, accept and save changes. So it will give me a pop-up where it will show me that I want to like change the action from pending to approved, and I'll give the confirmation. Once I'll give the confirmation, it will show me as the approved one. Here I have a filter to search for a particular invoice. Let's suppose I want to check the status of a particular invoice. I can just simply provide the invoice number, and it will search that invoice number and give me the current action which I have taken for this invoice. If I want to search for particular section of invoices, I can apply the filter here. If I want to change, or if I want to see like these particular, let me just remove the yeah. Under this current action, it will show me that if I want to check the invoices which are approved or pending, I can just simply click on this checkbox and it will give me all the invoices which are accepted or approved or pending. If I want to, like we have another tab here, reset action. If you want to put these invoices under no action, then you can click on this reset action and uh, like bring them back under the no action, and you can start working from the scratch, like from the no action. If you want to accept, put it under acceptance, or reject or pending. As I mentioned while talking about the reconciliation, soon we are going to launch this purchase versus IMS match and a download Excel, which will help you to do this IMS working better. And after this reconciliation, also you can change the status of the invoices. And to save it, you have to put like click on this save changes. So this is a quick demonstration which like to just to explain you that how IMS thing can be done through GST Zen, and it's so convenient through it. So that's it from my side, sir. Um, uh, do you want to add something? So of course I can share my screen back.
Thank you, Manisha. And let's see if someone have any questions. Nimaji, presentation copy would be received on the registered email ID. Don't worry. Izarkan, what if we have raised debit note, but the supplier has not generated credit note due to non-receipt? Okay. Firstly, this concept of debit note, credit note is still kind of people still misuse. Firstly, invoice, debit note, credit note, all the three have to originate from the supplier. There is nothing called me as a recipient, I will raise an invoice or I'll raise a debit note for the goods which I'm sending it back. If the supplier has to issue a credit note and you have to accept, because originally you have already availed the credit, your credit has to reduce. Credit can reduce only by way of credit note issued by the suppliers. So Izarkanji, you have to go back to your supplier and ask him to issue the credit note. Janakji, in the IMS system, GST credit for all invoices is shown. In GST or 2B, only GST credit for the return filed between 12th and 11th of the month will be received. Now, when the open IMS details, it shows credits for returns filed on 12th, 13th, 14th, which will appear in next month's 2B. Although these are visible in IMS, they are part of next 2B. So, can we accept this credit in the current month or not? And how can we check or search for these in the next month? Since IMS shows IMS shows the GST are 1 month in the source month. That is why you have this recompute button. As I said in the beginning, values in your IMS are kind of now real time. You will accept a record, but it traveling to your 2B is subject to the supplier filing his R1 on time. If it is filed late, since it is accepted, it will be going to 2B. But which 2B? It will be traveling to the next month GST or 2B. In next month, it will not show in your IMS because you don't need to take any action. If you have kept it pending, then it would be available in the next month as pending. Now in the filter button, when you are choosing the R1, it is giving R1 month. Given that you know the invoice date, you can search by the invoice date also. I know that, okay, it might be little confusing, but if you are using an applications like GST Zen, where you are doing an invoice level matching, so you will all records of IMS would be available. Then you can also do the search as to how you are matching it with it. Eventually, it has to sit in your 2B. Please note for you to take the credit. So, will you do an additional reconciliation once with IMS and once with 2B? As of now, the status is that it's like you will have to do a reconciliation again with the 2B. So you will have a mark in 2A, in 2B, in IMS, you will have this additional thing. So you may ask that, isn't it GST putting more pressure on the to the process of bookkeeping, reconciliation and the thing? Answer is yes. They've been contemplating of let supplier and recipient fight between them. I am not coming in between this. Let them figure out what the credit comes. So they are pushing kind of making their job easy, but which we will have to do it. What are all the fields have to be matched to avail ITC? If the mismatch of the date invoice, still can we accept and claim the ITC? Ravichandra ji, this is very subjective. Now, supplier has issued an invoice called ABC-2324. While you are recording, you have recorded as ABC, or you have recorded PO number, or your system has created internally generated. He has issued on 14th November, you received the invoice on 17th November, you recorded on 17th November. He has issued for 1 lakh rupees, but orally you said you wanted a discount, you said you will pay 98,000, you booked it as 98,000. So there is no requirement that it has to match 100% only, then you will trick. This is a subjective call. You do your reconciliations and you know that this belongs to you and you have to take the credit, you click and tick. All right, so these are the questions that we have received which have been answered. Yes, we are kind of well within the time. It's 4:05. I'm still available for some time. Here are coordinates. In case if you have any clarification on the domain, you can always write to me, venu@vnv.ca, or you can reach to GST Zen team for setting up and demo or integrating your books in the application on the phone 7406441122 or support@gstzen.in. Here is a QR for our WhatsApp channel where you will get updates about GST on a periodical basis. We don't spam with any other information. It's only a GST. You can anytime subscribe and subscribe in or out, where we'll give you information about latest things are happening on GST, either on the portal side or notifications that are coming or any important case laws that are coming. You will be updated on time to time. On this note, we have come to end of the session. If anyone wants to ask a question, feel free to ask a question, or we can close in a while. There's a question from Rohit. There is an invoice which was shown in 2A and 2B of September. You are saying that 5 records which are missing. I have no answer to it. Definitely, we will have to get back. Yeah, but okay, this is a different question. Sorry. There is a record in 2B and not in 2A. Of course, it will happen. See, 2B is basis the R1 filing date. 2A is basis R1 filing period. So R1 of October will be in 2A of October. But R1 filed late will be there in 2B of November. So it would be a difference would be there. Few invoices, Srikanth is asking, few invoices during monthly reconciliation of 2B versus books have been kept pending in ITC to claim in future. What about these invoices to be claimed before September month? Yes, Srikanth, you cannot do this. The advisory has been given. All credits of 2B should be in 4A5. And if you want to keep it pending, it should have appeared in 4B2 in the earlier. Please take the action. And last, everyone, please comb all your credits of 23-24 and take the credit before 30th November 24. If you are losing the credit by this small mistakes, we have no relaxation. There's no amnesty on these things and don't expect it to happen. So take all the credit that you are eligible and which you have not, like anything which is in 2B and not availed, please relook it and take the credit. With this, we have come to end of the session, and thank you, Utkarsh, for coordinating and managing all this, and thank you, Manisha, for explaining how we can use the IMS. Thank you, everyone.